I thank our witnesses for being here. I thank Mike Thompson and Robin Kelly for your leadership. I want to start this morning by recognizing my constituents from Parkland who are in the hearing room today. Tony and Jennifer Montalto, Gina's parents, April Shentrup and Robert Shentrup, Carmen's mother and brother, Debbie Hickson, Chris Hickson's wife, Tom and Gina Hoyer, Luke Hoyer's parents, Mitch Dorette, Nicholas Dorette's father, Manuel Oliver, father of Joaquin, and Fred Guttenberg, Jamie's father. I also want to recognize the families of Alyssa Aladeff, Scott Beagle, Martin Duque, Aaron Feiss, Carol Lochran, Elena Petty, Meadow Pollack, Helena Ramsey, Alex Schachter, and Peter Wang. They are the surviving families of the 14 students and 3 adults who were killed at Marjory Stoneman Douglas nearly 1 year ago on February 14th, 2018. Their pain and their loss is real, and it is immeasurable because their loved ones were gunned down, and it does not matter where that shooter was born. I want to recognize them today because in the year since that awful day, they have done everything that they can to make American communities safer from gun violence, each family in its own way, to improve law enforcement response to warning signs, to get weapons of war off our streets, to expand access to mental health, to develop safer schools, demand background checks on all gun purchases, stand up to gun corporations that control state legislatures and to protect their profits and not protect American lives. The Parkland families have done all of this in response to their grief. They never signed up for this. They would do anything to change this. They don't owe us their service and advocacy. They don't owe us anything. Congress failed them. We didn't do our job. Today, the House Judiciary Committee is finally holding a hearing on gun violence, a crisis that kills 40,000 Americans every year. And what I want to ask my Republican colleagues is, it still too soon? Is it too soon to talk about taking action to stop gun violence? Because that's what I heard after Marjory Stoneman Douglas, but it was already too late. As we start this important work, Madam Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to enter statements into the record from Fred Guttenberg, Tony Montalto and Stand with Parkland, Patricia and Manuel Oliver and Change the Ref, and March for Our Lives.
Without objection, so entered.
Alea, thank you for being here. Your classroom was attacked at MSD, but at March for Our Lives on March 24th, you spoke to hundreds of thousands, over 1 million people in DC and at other events around the world, and you said, "I'm not only here to speak about school shootings, I'm here to speak for the urban communities who have been speaking out about this way before February 14th. Student survivors like yourself and like the March for Our Lives advocates have been some of the strongest voices for change. Over the past year, you've met with young people from around the country. Tell us what you've learned in the meetings and the discussions and the friendships you've developed in places like Miami and Chicago and Baltimore, Los Angeles, and cities that face daily gun violence."
I noticed that, it's hard to have these conversations, but, we have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I noticed having these conversations, there's always an elephant in the room, and that's the urban communities. Nobody wants to talk about how to combat the issue of gun violence in urban communities when Black and brown youth are the #1 impacted youth by gun violence. So that's one thing that I noticed, and I've just been working tirelessly to share my platform that I didn't ask to have with those marginalized communities, because their voices are just as important as mine and my colleagues from Parkland.
They are, and thank you for using your voice to help lift up the voices of so many. Madam Chairman, after February 14th, the Florida legislature passed bills to increase the minimum age for rifle purchases to 21 and passed extreme risk protection orders. States and local governments all around the country have taken action. Finally, the House of Representatives is about to act. Alea, you said during your testimony, you said, "I ask that you give my generation a chance." The important message today, as I see it from this seat looking out at this crowd, is that you don't need to ask for us to give you a chance. Your leadership and the young people who are here today and who have been energized around the country are providing the leadership that is making this happen. We're going to pass background checks because it's supported by over 90% of the American people, and it can help save a life. And it's true, Chief, if only one life is saved, that's enough for me. And it darn well ought to be enough for every single member of this Congress. And when we finish our work today, what the young people should know, and I'll wrap up, Madam Chairman, what the people here today in this crowd should know is that just as they're not going anywhere and will remain in this issue, on this issue in the fight because it is the fight for their lives, we will not stop either. Thank you, Madam Chairman. I yield back the balance of my time.